What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Dash today. I wasn't going to make a video on Dash, but I had a request from Amir to talk about it. Amir, you've got some trades open with Dash, and you want to be aware as far as where the price action is going to take us, so I want to talk about that here. If that sounds good to you guys, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. So I do have a going theory. First and foremost, let me just say that where the low is here as of yesterday at $73, it's a very viable low. It's completely possible that this is the low, and I don't have any problems with that at all, right? However, if we take into account the low here to the high of this move, typically, and from my experience, doesn't mean that it has to happen, but typically when you're this far below the 236, you do expect a full retracement down to the 382. And it's very common in strong moves to bounce right off the 382, just like this, which is at $65.8. It's also common enough, even in strong moves, to wick below the 382 and then close above it. And why would it make sense to wick below the 382? Because right here we have resistance right there at about $61. Now, there's other levels of significance beyond just this point right here that we could find support on. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to go below the 382, but at this point in time, I would heavily consider $66 to, I mean, even let's say $60, $60 to $66 as the low. With that all being said, again, from a high to a low here, you've dropped about 50% overall, man, 51%. I mean, that's good enough. You don't have to go lower. Let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll see what we can come up with. Is this the lower? Do we have lower to go? That's the question I want to answer by the end of this video. My bias, my thoughts right now is that we do have lower to go until we hit 66 cents or $66. But I can be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and see if there's anything that contests or agrees with what I'm saying here. You know, again, the idea that we're in a corrective phase here, we do have an ABC correction already. It's possible that that was the low and that we move up. But I think that with this pump that we had and the fact that we gave it back, I do think that we have lower to go. Right? I personally do. Looking at the 1 hour time frame here, the RSI it's very volatile. It's overall, it's actually very bullish, but it's very volatile. Here, it's kind of bearish. Bouncing off the 40 is nice, but are we actually bouncing? I don't know. You know, I think we're just consolidating, waiting to drop. Stochastics are bearish, and the MACD crossed back below the zero. All kind of bearishly implied. Still relatively neutral, though. Not enough for me to be completely, just looking at these indicators, not enough for me to actually say, hey, we are going lower. I'm sticking with the lower idea mainly from that overall Fibonacci retracement that we looked at the beginning of the video. That's my thoughts right now, but I can definitely be wrong. Is this a diamond? Do we have like a diamond bottom here? I don't know. It could be a diamond. Diamonds are ugly. If you're looking at that and you're like, that doesn't look like a diamond, diamonds are ugly. So actually, it's the more ugly it is, the more likely you have a diamond pattern actually. 4 hour time frame here. Looking at the 4 hour. How about this? If we were working our way down, let's look at it like this, from a high to a low. We literally, look at that. Look at that. We literally tipped the 382, doing exactly what I'm talking about doing to the bullish effect. Do you guys see it? Do you see it? Look, weekly time frame. We're expecting a bounce off of this 382, right? A bounce off of that because this is a very strong move up. We look at the 4 hour time frame, and we literally got a bounce right off of this 382, but as resistance from the high to low, and we're back below the 236. This heavily implies to me that we do have lower to go. That this low will not hold. This very much implies that to me. So while we saw some slight bearish indications on the 1 hour, not enough to suggest lower prices, this fib retracement here makes me think that we have lower to go. We'll see though. You know, time will tell. If you hold above $73, I guess you're safe still. But 4 hour time frame, looking at the RSI, you are in a bit of a downtrend. Lower lows, lower highs. Rejecting the 50 here. Looking to find support at the 40, but you're just not doing it. I think we do have lower to go. And with that, you probably form bullish divergence. You probably get a lower low here, but a higher low in your RSI. So bullish divergence. Probably some bullish divergence forming on the MACD as well. The stochastics, for getting out of the oversold zone, you're not really showing any follow through. So I would think, again, looking at this, still relatively neutral. It doesn't necessarily suggest that we go lower, but it's a little bit more bearish here on the 4 hour time frame than the 1 hour. And with that Fibonacci retracement, I'm very confident that we do go lower. Looking at the daily time frame, stochastics would suggest that we go lower. The RSI doesn't necessarily suggest that we go lower. We're actually at the area that we've bounced from before, but we could go lower and still be fine. We can see lower lows and still be fine. In fact, maybe that's exactly what the RSI is suggesting. Maybe we are going to get lower lows and we bounce right off that 40. Maybe that's what happens. Are we in a megaphone pattern in our RSI? It's very possible. It actually could be. And in which case, again, I would think that we do go lower. we do go lower. Stochastics would suggest we go lower. The MACD just crossed red. That could suggest that we go lower as well. We're really at a place. It's so difficult because all of these indicators, they're on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, on the daily, even with some slight bearishness implied, there is a lot of suggestions that we are at a place to bounce. So I really could be setting myself up for failure, but I'm just going to go by the book of my own analysis, which is primarily revolving around the fibs. I think we're going lower. I think until we see a $66 price, we're going lower. 66 or lower. 66 to $60 itself, $58 maybe. So something in that area. That's where we're going to find support and then recover, move higher. And when we move higher, the expectation would be that we go up to our prior cycle highs. Okay, something around there. We look at a monthly time frame. Zooming out to the last great cycle we had back in 2017, 2018 here. I guess all the way up to the end of 2017. You went above your 382. It's very common to go from there and pull back near your 236 to find support, or even just above there. We'll probably find support here, again around 66 to $60, somewhere around there. Find support, and then we continue up to the golden ratio zone. That is directly in line with our prior cycle highs. Now, not the absolute high, not all the way up at 477, but something between 287 and $400 itself. $300 to $400 is our next target area. So you're at an $80 price now with the prospects to go just below 70, just above 60. Let's pretend that you bought right above $65, right? I think it's going to go to below 66. Let's say that you bought right there just below 66. The next target from that price would be about a 4 to a 6x move, something in that range. And then, of course, ultimately, we are expecting Dash to see higher prices than that. Can we get to new all-time highs by the end of the cycle? That's a question that remains open for me, right? I'm not sold. A lot of people are already putting in their votes saying that we will see new all-time highs. I'm not there yet because for me, calling for new all-time highs by default would call for a $5,600 price. And that's about a 70x from here. And it's not that Dash can't do that. It absolutely can. You just haven't done anything like this in 2 cycles, 2 bear markets, 2 bull markets. So I have a hard time imagining that you do this here unless we see some life. If by the end of this year you're at $615 to $968, you probably do see new all-time highs. If by the end of this year we're only at $400 to $300, it's completely possible that we stop, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,700. We could see new all-time highs, but just slightly new all-time highs, a fake out of sorts, right? We've seen that happen with like XLM or Litecoin, right? It can happen. I'm more than open-minded to say that Dash could see a $5,600 price, maybe even a $10,000 price by the end of the cycle, but we have to see some results by the end of this year, and I'm not there yet. Right now, I think it'll be impressive enough to see higher prices than last cycle, let alone getting above 2 cycles ago's highs. We'll see. But all in all, just to summarize it, $80 now, $66 to $60 over the coming days, and then we should be moving up to $300 to $400 over the coming weeks, perhaps by the end of this month of November, if not by the end of December. Or higher, if I'm wrong, or higher. But I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Amir, if you're long, I think that, as long as your liquidation levels aren't below like $58, or as long as they're below $58, I think you're fine. If they're anywhere from like 65 to 60, who am I to say? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but you probably do see some liquidations come your way. Anyways, take care. Bye-bye.